my phone. I'm like, okay, think of the recording.
When Wednesdays I get a reminder at 5 o'clock that we have a recording on Thursday. Like, no, that's today. We're doing that today, so I gotta remember that today.
Still need the notification. It's just a 2-hour warning.
Right. Right, you good?
Yep, good to go.
Welcome back to the Frith Guild Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm co-host Scott.
And today we're going over chapters 31 through 35 of Abyssal Arcanists. Before we get started in today's episode, would also like if you guys could like, share, subscribe, any of that fun stuff for us. Let us know we're doing a good job. Along with checking out the links down below for the Frith Chronicles Wiki and the Capital Station Discord server, where you can go over and talk literally anything, any book Shammy has written, and they discuss other books as well. So definitely a good place to have a good conversation over there. And with that, we'll get into today's sections.
Chapter 31, Classes, starts with Piper walking in, and she is looking spicy. She's fully dressed up. It is imbuing in history to the max. And everyone's like, oh, this is a change. And then Professor Wren walks in. And it's like, oh, there we go. That's why everything makes sense. The next day of classes is a free day. And typically the students use this. There's extracurricular activities, but if we're being honest, Gray really doesn't need any more of those, so he may just want to kind of stick with doing his own thing for a while. They're not allowed to leave the academy for safety reasons. Gray. So everyone's just training because that's the only thing they really can do. A lot of the clubs and a lot of stuff that they can do requires leaving the campus. Everyone's like, we got these competitions coming up for the fundraiser anyway. We might as well be training. Deimos has this attempt at motivating Gray, but it's really just kind of disparaging in that old sense of like, yeah, do it or you suck. And we end off with Gray looking across the yard. Knovak is trying to get his training in as well. Again, he's trying to prove himself for the Highborn Arcanists, but he is unfortunately getting bullied by a group of them.
In chapter 32, Combat Skills, Knovak is being confronted by Nixie Arcanists, and these are little fairy things that are made of water. And to be honest with you, I'm going to guess that these are probably tier 1 creatures. Like, I cannot see them realistically being anything higher than a tier 1.
I picture them as like if Navi was made of water. Hey, listen, yes. That's my power. Hey, listen.
What? These arcanists are nobles, quote unquote, even though they're not acting like such, and they have nixies. Gray gets in a few solid insults at them before they start to catch on, and then they get hit with confusion, and be careful, they may hurt themselves. Gray ends up taking care of them pretty easily. Granted, he uses Poppy Deimos' abilities, but nonetheless, he just completely destroys them, ruins their will to survive, and they run off. And Knovak was kind of like, hey, don't you think they're gonna go tell somebody? He's like, nah, they're gonna have to admit they got beat by a lowborn.
Not worth it. No.
Yep. And then in our next class with Professor Helmuth, Kristoff, not Riley, we are learning about 9-pointed stars and how Moss, the mother of all shapeshifters, has been mentioned as well, but they were going to be a guest and that they were going to visit, but because the gates of crossing are closed, great. Isn't it ironic the one person that is so excited to have Moss come there is the reason why they couldn't?
Yeah, pretty much. He really shot himself in the foot. Everyone else is like, that's a giant glob, gross.
We are told, though, he's going to be at the fundraiser. We are also told that this is Riley's uncle. So we are fully in the aware now that Riker is on his way, if Moss wasn't subtle enough. Phila is also having her cotillion that weekend, and she is very adamant about making sure that Nasbit is going to be there. And Nasbit is actually like super excited about this, which, if you remember about Ashland's cotillion, he didn't want to go. So definitely a change of heart there. I wonder why. And then we get to Professor Jijo's class, which is going to be the basics of melee combat. And all I gotta say is, where's my battle axe? Because that is what I'm using.
We do start chapter 33 with melee training, and Gray gets to choose his choice of weapon. He does not choose a battle axe. The one actually Deimos suggests is a whip, but there's no whips, so we're gonna go with a spear instead. He ends up kind of showing off with his spear to the point where he's getting in combat with Jijo at this point, and ends up like smacking him on the wrist and disarming him. And while it's pretty cool, Jijo definitely wants his revenge. Like, this is not over by any means.
And let's not forget that Raza was the reason why Gray got paired with Jijo.
It's very true.
In chapter 34, Phila's cotillion, Raza is told that he can be really reckless when it comes to having ammunition, quote unquote, as far as like throwing knives, because he can make real illusions with his foxfire. So he can legit, as long as he's got magic, he can just keep making things and keep throwing them. That's pretty cool.
Pretty handy.
Ain't no bitch ass tier 2 level magic.
No, that's definitely a tier 3.
Knovak is told that he has to wait and Knovak thinks is because he's a lowly tier 2. Jijo does say that it is not because he's tier 2, but that Starling is not big enough yet, because essentially Knovak will be a very good spearman or pikeman because he can ride on Starling and to take full advantage of his abilities. Jijo does end up continuing to spar with Gray, and Jijo actually switches his sword hand from right to left. And Deimos actually makes a reference to the old Alis tribe that this style comes from, of being ambidextrous and able to use either arm in combat. We also, again, remember that Deathlord Naiad is from the Alis, so, you, Deathlord Naiad. Oh, snap. Day of the Cotillion.
Oh, party.
Remember how everybody was dapper for Ashlands? Here we go again. And we have Nasbit coming along, so he's going to be looking dapper AF for Phila's cotillion. One thing that got mentioned at this point in time, like while they're getting ready to go, is that Nasbit hopes that Phila likes his gift. And Gray kind of like whips his head around and says, "What gift?" And we realize that he probably should have brought one.
He also doesn't have money. There's nowhere to shop for a gift.
Yeah, I mean, granted, Knovak paid somebody to make a gift, so like, but again, there's that sense of like, oh shit.
Should have made her a card.
Right.
Chapter 35 is the Grand Lounge. The cotillion has to be held on campus, so they pretty much rent out this Grand Lounge, which is used for other super fancy events. It is uber impressive. There's this massive breakfast spread that's better than what they're usually getting. I'm assuming this is like rivaling Hogwarts, probably making Hogwarts Feast look a little jealous. Nini does make a comment that she never got a cotillion and that she doesn't really want one. She's never really had a group of people. This is kind of the first group of people she's been around where she'd actually like to celebrate something with them. So it wasn't something that she was kind of yearning for before, but she is kind of enjoying getting to go to everyone's cotillion and spend time with friends and hang out. And nice little hearty moment. We do also get an announcement that although not everybody could bring gifts, everybody is going to be receiving a gift. So Soren goes first, and he gets this chain that has a little note on it and a nightmare shield, and it turns out it's a trinket. It plays this little song. Knovak gets another trinket that lets him see in the dark. Don't want him to get spooked, might help him out a little bit. So everybody's pretty much getting trinkets, which one, super expensive. These are really nice gifts that are being given out. But also, great cliffhanger. Wonder what Gray's gonna get.
Shammy, why do you do this?
I know. We'll have to wait a week to find out.
Okay. And with that ends this week's sections of the chapters 31 through 35. I really like the combat, or at least the combat class.
It's very fun. It's a complete different vibe from Leon to Jijo. Leon was like, hey, magic.
And I mean, Jijo is very good about this way of explaining why it's important. I mean, I don't have to be explained, or you don't have to try to convince me whatsoever. Ken, where's my battle axe? But
Roz is all in.
well, hell yeah, this is what he joined for.
Yeah. Said I don't need magic unless it's making me throw in knives.
But again, this is the last of our section today. So next week we'll be going over chapters 36 through 40 of Abyssal Arcanists. And Scott, do you have anything else you'd like to add today?
No, I'm waiting for Gray's gift.
What's it gonna be?
The anticipation.
All right, we'll catch you guys next time.